Chapter 91. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhenli suddenly thought of something and asked nervously, then Finho is chasing you because, that she didn't say the following words, but Lan Guanghong still understood her meaning clearly. That's right. He confirmed Zhenli's guess, because I found that Finho is hiding in SB Club. What? Zhenli couldn't believe it and asked excitedly, you mean, my father? No, I just found out that Finho is there, and I don't know anything else. Lan Guanghong spread his hands, I haven't met the president yet. He felt that it was not appropriate to reveal too much information to Zhenli and others now, otherwise it would be suspicious if the newly hired employees knew so much information. It would be better to slowly reveal the information that can be said later, and this can also leave them with an impression that they can ask him for help with matters related to SB Club in the future. The plan went through. Sure enough, after hearing this, Zhenli thought about it and felt that it was impossible for his father to send Orf to kill people, and slowly calmed down, seeing that the goal had been achieved. Lan Guanghong stood up decisively and said goodbye, that's it for today. I'm going back to work, ciao. Wait, didn't you say it was dangerous there? But someone has to go and find out the truth. Lan Guanghong turned around and showed a smile as bright as the sun, now only I can do this kind of thing. Don't worry, if something happens again, Xiao will definitely come to save me, okay? Xiao, after leaving the laundry, Lan Guanghong rushed to the SB building without stopping. Ah, isn't this the Nagano brother who was lucky enough to become Finho yesterday? He went to the floor where the president was, and as expected, he met Smart Lady on the way, that is, the secretary of the president whom he called Miss SB. On the surface, she is the secretary of the president, but in fact, she is the person in charge of intelligence work. She is also the guide of the newly born Finho, but only the native species with powerful power. If you want to talk about her characteristics, she is very coquettish, and she talks to everyone like coaxing a child. Why are you here? I can't let you go without the president's order. Miss SB said in a coquettish voice. Then, please help me pass this to the president. Blu-ray Red Tiger's eyes were filled with tears, and his hands trembled as he handed over the video recorder. Seeing him like this, Miss SB suddenly felt something was wrong, and she covered her mouth with one hand and exclaimed, What? What happened? Senior Toda protected me, woo-woo. Miss SB. Toda, who was valued by the president and was responsible for guiding the newcomers, gone. Chapter 133 Naughty Little Snake. The last lesson. Complete annihilation, that is our death. After saying this, Toda suddenly burst into blue flames, and then fell in front of Kiba and Yuka, burning to ashes. Standing at the door of the SB building, Kiba's mind once again emerged this terrible scene that had a great impact on him, who was just an ordinary person not long ago. What exactly is Finho? Why do we have to attack humans to increase our companions? Why do we have to start a war with humans? Obviously, we were all humans originally, weren't we? We need to find the president and ask about these things clearly. With this thought in mind, he walked into the building. Then, he saw Lan Guanghong who was about to leave in the lobby. Lan. Nagano, why are you here? I want to find the president for something, but unfortunately he's not here. Where are you, Yongji? I'm here to find him too. That's really unfortunate, but since you're here, take me back by the way. Oh, okay. Kiba started the car with a confused look on his face, and drove back with Lan Guanghong sitting in the passenger seat. Halfway through, Kiba came to his senses and suddenly said to him, by the way, Yuka and I brought back a person. He may have become Finho like us. Lan Guanghong. The person you brought back, could it be Keidu? This is not right. I called Toda on time. He shouldn't have attacked those people in the coffee shop, right? After asking Kiba, Lan Guanghong was speechless. Toda did not have time to attack the people in the coffee shop, but when he was driving to find Kiba and the others before he died, he drove too fast and hit a passerby. The unlucky passerby smashed the front window of the car and had a mouth-to-mouth fight with Toda. Their eyes met, and both of them revealed surprise in their eyes. However, the atmosphere has been set here, and it would be impolite not to open their mouths. Adhering to the principle of betting on one, Toda directly spit out the tentacles and gave the man a suffocating deep kiss. After completing the last transformation of his companion in his life, Toda had no regrets and died in front of Kiba and the others with a smile. As for this passerby, it is not known whether he was unlucky or lucky to be successfully transformed. The rapid evolution even healed the injuries on his body. Seeing this, Kiba and Yuka could only take this companion who was still in a coma back home. After listening to Kiba's narration and making up a story in his mind, Lan Guanghong was sure that the new companion they were talking about was Keidu. Unexpectedly, he still couldn't escape his fate and was turned into a little snake by Toda. TSK, what an unlucky child. Lan Guanghong shook his head and sighed. What did you say? Nothing, I said I can't wait to meet this new companion. Leaning against the window with one hand on the side of his face, he quickly recalled the information about the little snake. Kaido Naoya, Snake Afi Enoch, is kind-hearted but not very mature. Especially he has a bad attitude towards the seemingly weak Yuka, like a child who has not grown up, but it doesn't matter, now that Lan Guanghong is here, he is best at teaching naughty children. Yongji, turn left at the intersection ahead. Huh? The rancher asked doubtfully while taking directions. What do you want to do? Lan Guanghong responded calmly, buy a jeep. Kiba. Driving the brand new jeep back to the apartment, Lan Guanghong felt very comfortable. However, after opening the door, only Yuhua was sitting on the sofa in a daze. Kiba, blue. Seeing the two people coming back, Yuhua immediately stood up and said anxiously, that person ran away after hearing what I said about Ophanok. He also said that he wanted to kill all the people who looked down on him in the past. She lowered her head and continued nervously, sorry, I couldn't stop him. What? Kiba was startled and immediately turned around and ran out again. No, we have to stop him before he kills someone. Lan Guanghong was not as anxious as him. She leaned against the door and asked curiously, Yuhua, why didn't you call us for such an important matter? When I went out to chase that person, I lost my phone. Yuhua felt that she had done something wrong and lowered her head in shame. I'm sorry, I'm useless, even for this little thing. There is no such thing. Yuhua raised her head in surprise. You don't have to worry about whether you are useful to others, it's too tiring to live like that. Looking at Yuhua's cute appearance, Lan Guanghong patted her head twice. Human, just be yourself. Mr. Lan. Yuhua jumped back in fright at his sudden attack. Yuhua covered her head with her hands and asked with a red face, what are you doing? Ah. Sorry, I feel like Yuhua is like my sister, so I touched her subconsciously. Blu-ray Red put his hands together and apologized honestly. Well, that's it. Yuhua slowly put down her hand and asked curiously, so you have a sister? No. Yuhua. But I have a niece who is super good at fighting. He was talking about Sakura. With Kamen Rider Jean's strength on paper, she could at least compete with Afi at Murakami's level. Unfortunately, not in this world. At nightfall, Keidu Naoya walked slowly and alone in the underground parking lot, pretending not to hear the footsteps behind him. The newly transformed Ifa Enoch, due to the rapid changes in their bodies, also has extremely strong five senses in the human state, and can hear slight movements hundreds of meters away. This feature is shared by both original and derivative species. After a while, these abilities will slowly disappear, leaving them no different from humans under normal conditions. But there are also powerful native species that have acquired the ability to use the power of Enoch in the human state through practice. Closer to home, Kaitang is currently seducing a guy who has done bad things and preparing to use him as his first sacrifice after becoming Ifa. Walking to the depths of the parking lot, seeing no one around, the gangster could no longer hold back. He took a few steps and threw out the thick rope in his hand, wrapping it around Haitang's neck. Hey, what are you doing? Haitang struggled, pretending to be scared. I won't let anyone hinder me. The factory owner who interviewed Haitang today said with a ruthless face, I finally used my wife's insurance money to make the factory better. You guy, why did you find out? Go to hell. Oh, you really did something bad. Haitang suddenly stopped struggling and turned his head with a teasing smile. factory owner. In his doubtful gaze, lines like snake scales appeared on Haitang's face, and then suddenly turned into a gray-white snake orphanok, factory owner. Hey, monster, on the street not far away, Xiao, who was doing emergency delivery business with Keitaro, suddenly jumped up from his seat. There's Orpheus Enoch, Chapter 134. The fight is coming, underground garage, the laundry cart screeched to a sudden stop, and I picked up my belt and jumped out. Casually throwing away the choked factory boss, Haitang asked disdainfully, who are you? If you dare to meddle in other people's business, I will kill you. Just an ordinary laundry worker. Putting on the belt, he cleverly rolled over to avoid Haitang's punch, then knelt on the ground and pressed the start command, 5, 5, 5. Henshin, the red photon blood was particularly dazzling in the dim garage, and Haitang couldn't help but raise his hands to cover his face. When he put down his hand, the guy in front of him who claimed to be a wage earner had turned into a knight in black and silver armor. Huh? What the hell is this? Haitang, who didn't know how powerful he was confused for a moment, then raised his hand and hit him again. Xiao waved his hand, and when he retracted it, he took hold of Haitang's fist, then pulled it towards himself, and at the same time raised his knees sharply. Chapter 92. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang! The newly born snake Afeino, who was hit by this knee, jumped up, Keidu. Then, Takumi took advantage of the enemy's lack of recovery and launched a series of inhumane combos on him. It was roughly, a rogue right hook, followed by a rogue right hook, and finally the old rogue kicked you in the chest and kicked Keidu away. At this moment, Kiba, who had been searching for a long time, heard the sound of the fight here and rushed over. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Fei's beating Keidu. At this moment, he immediately remembered what Lan Guanghong said in the phone call to Toda, the black guy. Is he talking about this guy? This guy, is he hunting his companions? Stop! The anger erupted from the bottom of his heart, and black and white marks appeared on Kiba's face. Don't hurt my companions. In the roar, his body shape suddenly changed into Afeino, and he rushed towards Takumi who was beating Keidu. As he ran, a broad-bladed sword stretched out from his hand, and when he was close to the battlefield, he raised his hand and slashed at Fei's. Ha! Takumi, who reacted quickly stepped back a few steps to avoid Kiba's sudden attack, and looked at the two Orphinos, feeling a little solemn. The snake one was okay, and it felt that there was not much difference from the Orphinos he usually fought, but this Orphino who suddenly jumped out exuded a fierce aura, and it was obvious that he was not an ordinary character, very strong. Takumi secretly clenched his fists and prepared to deal with the next tough battle with all his strength. Ha! Kiba raised his sword and slashed again, and Takumi had no choice but to roll on the ground to avoid it, but was caught by Keidu who was waiting for an opportunity. He suddenly grabbed Fei's from behind, and Kiba immediately chased him and slashed him with a sword. However, Takumi had rich experience in fighting, and the moment he was hugged, he guessed Kiba's next move, and immediately stood still on the ground and turned around. Fei's basic performance is the worst among the three belts, but even so, it is far from being comparable to ordinary Ophi. Keidu was directly thrown half a circle by Xiao. Before he could react, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back. Ah! Sparks burst out from Keidu's back after taking Kiba's hateful blow. He was chopped on the spot. No, to be precise, he was smashed and flew out. After rolling on the ground for 2 circles, he stopped moving. Kiba. Good opportunity. Seeing the enemy stunned, Fei's directly inserted the chip into the camera and converted it into a boxing glove. Exceed charge. Huh. Hearing the prompt sound, Kiba immediately came back to his senses to fight. Just when both sides were about to launch a fatal attack on the opponent, a blue light suddenly enveloped them. Kiba, Xiao. This is not an ordinary light. It contains a repulsive force that interferes with their movements. Both of them were afraid that this was the opponent's reinforcement, and they stopped at the same time and turned to look at the light source. However, the light was too bright, so they couldn't see who the newcomer was. It wasn't until the newcomer passed by a car that was affected by the fight between the three that it suddenly exploded, and the fire brought light. allowing them to see the newcomer's figure clearly. Black biological armor, with 2 long silver tentacles on the red compound eyes. Kiba, Xiao. Xiao, what is that? Is it Orfino too? Kiba, black body. Not Orfino. Just as the two were confused and alert, the Black Knight who broke in suddenly accelerated and came to the two almost instantly. He didn't stop, and at the same time reached out to grab Xiao and Kiba's necks. So fast, that as soon as this thought came to his mind, the two who couldn't dodge were pressed down by the neck, and then a huge force came, and the two were pushed back again and again. Boom, boom, boom. After smashing several concrete pillars in a row, the Black Knight suddenly stopped, letting the two fly out with inertia. Plop. X2. Ahem, who is this guy? I want to ask that, too. The two men who got up in a panic, simultaneously took a fighting stance towards the Black Knight. Seeing this, the Black Knight, blue light red, smiled slightly, raised his hand and hooked his finger at them provocatively. Don't be too proud. The angry Takumi attacked first, followed by Kiba's greatsword, but it was useless. The power of Kamen Rider Black is also super in this world. Even if Blue Light Red stood here and let them hit him, they couldn't hit him now. Probably only when Takumi got the accelerator and Kiba went into the passion state, could he barely break his defense, but this time he came to persuade them to fight, not to attack them, so he wouldn't do such a thing. Under the crushing of hard power, he quickly beat the two men without temper, and finally angered the good guy Kiba, who threw away his great sword and hugged Blue Light Red from behind. Hey, the guy over there, with a roar, Takumi immediately understood Kiba's intention. Simply put, fire at me. After hesitating for a moment, he took off the cursor and inserted the chip, activating the ultimate move, Exceed Charge. Ha! The crimson drill extended, and the Blue Light Red felt a restraining force. So this is what it feels like to be kicked by fleas. However, Muda. Easily breaking free from the restraints, Lan Guanghong reached out with one hand and pulled Kiba, who was trying to trap him, to the front, then placed both hands on the belt, and the blue light burst out. The Emperor Stone flashed. Bang! The crimson electric drill didn't last for a second and was instantly shattered, and Xiao and Kiba were also blown away by the strong repulsive force. Finally, the two people who rolled together lost their strength at the same time and forcibly lifted the transformation. Hiss, struggling to get up, Xiao found that the black guy suddenly disappeared just as he appeared. Ah, it hurts. Kiba on the other side also sat up, and when he found that the Black Knight was gone, he immediately turned his head and glared at Xiao. The four looked at each other, and both of them were full of vigilance in their eyes, and there was a hint of appreciation. It's not good for us to fight anymore. Why don't we stop today? Okay, but if we meet again next time, I won't show mercy. Me too. Finally, the two reached an agreement and retreated to opposite places. Unlike the original plot, due to the intervention of Lan Guanghong, Mari and Xiao did not steal Kiba's ID card, so this was their first meeting. It was not pleasant, but Lan Guanghong's goal had been achieved. The fight was successfully mediated, and the two became familiar with each other. The plan worked. Chapter 135 Plan B. Who is that guy? Muttering doubtfully, Kiba came to Keidu and squatted down. Hey, are you okay? Keidu did not move. Get up. If you really lose consciousness, Orfino will turn back to human form. TSK, you guy. Keidu turned back to human form and struggled to get up, but he stumbled and almost fell again because of the sword wound on his back. Kiba immediately supported him and asked, Are you okay? No, it's none of your business. Keidu, who was grinning in pain, stretched out his hand to push Kiba away and said angrily, Who do you think beat me like this? Kiba was speechless immediately. Indeed, Xiao's set of rogue punches looked very fierce, but at most he made him dizzy, swollen and bruised, which was more insulting than harmful. On the contrary, it was Kiba's big sword that almost split Keidu in two. He was so painful that he dared not get involved in the fight between the two fierce men. He just lay on the ground and pretended to be dead. I'm sorry. Kiba apologized for accidentally injuring his friends and made up his mind to practice fighting skills in the future, so that similar things would never happen again. Anyway, you are seriously injured. come back with me to heal first. I told you not to. Hey, despite Kaido's objection, Kiba forcibly helped him up and slowly walked out of the garage. The saber in your hand, is a pen. Humming the little song of Super Brave Dragon, Kaido rode alone on the trail, feeling very happy, because today he received an invitation letter, which was an invitation from a world-famous orchestra. This invitation letter made Kaido, who was already a talented musician at Yamate University, even more famous. Even his mentor showed a hint of envy, praising his talent in music. If nothing unexpected happens, there will definitely be a place for him in the World Music Hall in the future. However, the accident happened suddenly. The motorcycle with the front wheel out of control caused Kaido to fall to the ground. Almost at the same time, a mud truck that appeared behind him at some point ran over his arm as if it didn't notice. In an instant, the world was gray. Accompanied by a scream, Kaido suddenly woke up. In front of him was an unfamiliar ceiling. Oh no, this is the place yesterday, so, I was carried back. Yo, you're awake. The young man in a white coat beside the bed adjusted his glasses and said to Kaido, congratulations, the operation was successful, you are about to die. Kaido. Oh no, I escaped death. After closing the case, Lan Guanghong coughed and added, just lie down and rest. Remember not to do strenuous activities, otherwise if the wound bursts, you will be close to death. Remember? Yes, I remember. What the hell? Haitang threw back the quilt and yelled, you are not a doctor at all. Lan Guanghong curled his lips, TSK, have you been seen through? Chapter 93. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There's really nothing I can do about you, so I can only use Plan B. Taking off his glasses, the blue light and red light evoked an evil smile. Haitang felt a chill hit his whole body. He couldn't help but grab the quilt and wrap it around his body, curled up into a ball and retreated. What are you going to do? I'm warning you, I'm very strong. Bang! With one strike, Haitang rolled his eyes and fell down, falling into a sleep as peaceful as a baby. Really, you have to force me to use force. Taking off his coat, Lan Guanghong walked out and ordered, Yuhua, if this guy is not honest, you will beat him. Don't worry, he can't beat you. Yuka, who was taking care of the slightly injured Kiba, was stunned for a moment, and then responded with a strange expression, okay. SB Club building, a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 30s walked out of the elevator pushing a mountain bike, then folded the bike skillfully and carried it on his shoulders, walking towards the office in a hurry. On the way, people in the corridor stepped aside one after another, leaned over and said respectfully, President. That's right, this person is none other than the new president of SB Club, Murakami Kyoko. Alas! Murakami Kashiji, who was frowning and looking depressed, returned to the office, raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Not long after, Ms. SB pushed the door open and entered. President. Well, is everyone here? Yes, the guy who holds Fei's and the person Mr. Toda likes are here. Toda. Hearing this name, Murakami Gaia couldn't help but think of the voice and appearance of this capable general, and felt a little pity in her heart. However, it is just a pity. Although Toda is loyal and capable, it can be said that except for the shortcoming of being a bit weak, he is a perfect assistant, but before the great cause of racial survival, some sacrifices are acceptable. Let's meet the guys with the Fei's first. It's true, these guys have caused me a lot of trouble. Wait a minute. In the reception room, after the bodyguards on the left and right opened the door, Murakami Kyaji instantly turned into a kind and smiling face, welcoming Xiao and Jinli who were dressed in their best clothes. You two have been waiting for a long time. I am the president of Smart Brain, Murakami Kyuji. Next, Murakami cleverly deceived the two men into taking the belt away on the grounds that the Fei's mechanism was the property of the company and they would make better use of the belt. Afterwards, Murakami looked at the two people's backs as they regretfully left, and said with a proud smile, Humph, they are just kids after all. Huh, what an old fox. Getting on the motorcycle, Xiao turned around and looked at the building with disdain. There is definitely something wrong with that guy. Leave it to Guanghong over there, didn't he say? He will return the belt to you in 2 days. Who knows if it's true? He must have a secret. What if he is actually smart? Okay, everyone looks suspicious, why are you so wary? Sitting in the back seat of Qiao's motorcycle, Junli raised his hand and patted his back. Let's go back first. After seeing off the two of them, Murakami walked towards the small conference room on the other side. Seeing this, Lan Guanghong, who had been opening his detection eyes in the conference room, quickly withdrew his skills and adjusted his mood to look sad, shrimp dumplings. As soon as Murakami opened the door, a thunderous sound suddenly sounded in his ears, which made his ears buzz, then before he could react, a black figure rushed over and grabbed his hands. You are the president, right? President, Toda-senpai was killed by the abominable Fuis in order to protect me. Woo-woo. Murakami didn't listen to what he was saying at all. He just looked at Lan Guanghong who was being pulled by the two bodyguards but didn't move at all, feeling shocked and uncertain. Is this a derivative? Chapter 136 Underground World. Well, calm down first. Lan Guanghong, who had finally calmed down Ms. SB, was sitting across from her. Murakami Kier was rubbing her wrists, with the corners of her mouth twitching slightly. This guy has so much strength. No wonder Toda strongly recommended him to Ms. SB, saying he was a talent. I am also very sorry about Toda, but the deceased has passed away. Now fulfilling his wish is the best comfort for him. Murakami smiled and said to Lan Guanghong, are you willing to inherit his legacy? Of course, this is not only for Toda-senpai, but also for us Ofei Enoch. Lan Guanghong stood up, beat his chest with one hand and said excitedly, I want to wipe out all human beings and create a world with only Ofei Enoch. World. This is my yuba. Very good, first class, great awareness. Murakami clapped his hands with satisfaction and continued, but unfortunately, we are now at a disadvantage in numbers and cannot fight against humans head-on. Well, is that so? Lan Guanghong sat down slumped, looked at his hands and said helplessly, unfortunately, I'm just a piece of trash who can't even transform, and I have no way to transform my companions. Don't underestimate yourself. In fact, there is a job that suits you right now. As soon as Murakami snapped her fingers, Miss SB behind her immediately took out a box containing Fui's glove equipment and placed it on the coffee table in the middle. Actually, there are many Ifa Enoch who have not broken away from their identity as humans, and still think about such ridiculous things as coexisting with humans and even protecting humans. Murakami pushed the box in front of Lan Guanghong and said with a smile, I won't allow people like this. I understand, President. Lan Guanghong took the suitcase with both hands and said firmly, let me deal with such guys. In the afternoon, Lan Guanghong, who got Fuis, ran around in various regions non-stop and killed 7 Afeinos who were on the blacklist and friendly to humans. His amazing efficiency and extremely belligerent character made Murakami Xiaoer call him the best. It's a pity that it's just a derivative species with limited potential, otherwise it would be great to be recommended to the Lucky Clover. Murakami shook his head regretfully. At this time, Ms. SB hung up the phone and reported, President, Nagano has solved another person on the list. Murakami was stunned. Oh my, 8 guys, is he going to fight 10 today? However, no, after solving 8, Lan Guanghong didn't continue. Mainly because if there were more people, the fighting locusts might not be able to keep an eye on them. That's right, Lan Guanghong didn't defeat any of the Orphenos who were friendly to humans. He just forcibly moved the battlefield to a place where no one could see him, and then knocked him out so that the fighting locust could secretly take him away. The SB staff who were watching him not far away saw that Fuis had come out and Orphenos was gone, so he was eliminated. Relying on this method, Lan Guanghong transported all 8 Orphenos to the same place, the tunnel where the subway collapsed not long ago. TSK, what the hell is this locomotive? I can't even beat a car. An Orpheno, who was gray and white and looked like a bird, looked at the fighting locust that was blocking him and making a beep sound like a warning, and fell into deep self-doubt. Just now, he wanted to fly over this car directly with the convenience of flying, but he didn't expect that the car would burst into flames from the back and knock him down. Several of the same kind who woke up earlier also advised, don't try, you can't fly over. You can't beat it even if you hit it. Come together. You can't outrun it. Bird Alfei. Damn, a group of people were watched by a car, what kind of world is this? He sat down in anger, he wanted to see what the owner of the car was up to by kidnapping them. Not long after, the owner of the car appeared in the tunnel carrying the last unconscious Alfei. Hey, it seems that everyone gets along well. Lan Guanghong greeted them enthusiastically, and threw Alfei and his hand over, and woke up suddenly when he fell to the ground. Alfei, who had just woken up, immediately roared, who are you? What do you want to do? Everyone immediately followed and shouted, damn guy, do you want to do some evil experiment on us? Let me go, I'm a firefighter, and there are many people who need me. Firefighter, that's right, there are 2 people waiting for rescue here. As he said, Lan Guanghong turned his head and scanned the surrounding walls with his detection eyes. The man who claimed to be a firefighter was stunned, and his mind quickly recalled the 2 humans who disappeared in the collapse accident. You mean? Yes, it's what you think. Lan Guanghong, who found the target, raised his hand and pointed at the wall. Battle Locust, use Battle Charge Tornado. Buzz. The compound eyes of the Battle Locust that received the order flashed, and then the 4 thrusters changed their positions and arranged in a spiral shape, emitting faint flames. The next moment, the 4 thrusters burst out with strong flames together, causing it to crash forward with a spiral acceleration. In less than a second, the fighting locust crashed into the wall like a meteor. Boom. The strong blasting impact made the Orpheus quickly raise their hands to cover their eyes. However, immediately afterwards, the abandoned tunnel shook violently again. No. It's going to collapse here. The firefighter Orpheus discovered the danger at the first time and quickly looked around. It was too late to escape, and the only way to save themselves now was. Everyone, hurry into the hole created by the motorcycle, hurry. That in such a critical moment, the words of the firefighters were undoubtedly the most authoritative, and several people immediately drilled into the hole. When Orpheus was the only one left, he did not leave first, but turned around and called to Lan Guanghong, you. Hurry up and come in too. Lan Guanghong, well, he is a good person. He pushed the man into the hole with a palm, and Lan Guanghong followed him in. The next second, the tunnel that had been damaged twice collapsed again, completely blocking the passage, the other side of the hole. What is this? Several people looked at this space in disbelief. The ground, the trees, and even the wind. If it weren't for the few lights above the dark sky indicating that this was underground, they would have thought this was a school somewhere on the ground. TSK, there's nothing I can do. I can't find the entrance in SB Club, so I have to find another way. Waving his hands, Lan Guanghong strode into the gate of this underground building. The nameplate on the outer wall of the gate was engraved with the name of this building, Meteor Academy, Chapter 137. Don't say sorry. The dilapidated school building, the dark corridor, and the whoosh-whoosh sound of the air circulation device are simply a classic ghost movie scene. Hiss, it's a bit annoying. Lan Guanghong snapped his fingers and shouted, fighting locust. Dee beep, beep, beep. The compound eyes of the fighting locust following behind him flashed twice, and then he played a cheerful little song. Good luck brings you good luck brings joy and love. Ifa Enoch, who was standing guard behind him, Hanagata, the former president who is secretly observing and also Mari's adoptive father. Chapter 94. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is this guy? In fact, when the abnormal movement occurred, Hanagata noticed the abnormality and saw the arrival of uninvited guests such as Lan Guanghong from the surveillance. The computer in Meteor Academy is connected to the intelligence system of SB Club, so he recognized the leader as a new employee of SB Club at a glance. But looking at his current appearance, it seems that his identity is not that simple. President Hanagata, are you there? Lan Guanghong in the surveillance has already called his name directly. It seems that this person must be seen. A gray mark appeared on his face, and in the blink of an eye, an Orfino with goat features appeared, and then his figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. A few seconds later, Lan Guanghong, who was running around in Meteor Academy like shopping, suddenly felt a burst of fighting spirit locking him. Roar, here it comes. Complete. At the moment of transformation into Fei's, Blue Light Red raised his hand to slap the punch of Goat Ophi, and then the two of them fought quickly and started a lightning-fast confrontation. Finally, when Hanagata was about to hit the belt with a punch, Blue Light Red also pointed the gun at his head. Both sides stopped at the same time. Blue Light Red took the lead in putting away the gun and directly pressed the hang-up key to cancel the transformation. "Stop, I have no ill intentions. This time I come to cooperate with you." "Cooperation?" Hanagata also put away his fist and turned back to human form, asking in confusion, "Who are you?" "Just a passing Kamen Rider, you don't need to remember." Blue Light Red smiled slightly. "Chat." Hanagata hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded. He couldn't refuse, because although the previous confrontation seemed evenly matched, Hanagata knew that if it was serious, he would definitely lose. The reason is that Fei's, as the first developed belt, sacrificed output in pursuit of stability, and is the one with the worst basic performance among the three belts. However, the man in front of him used this belt to tie with him. He is already the top combat power among Orfino, and he can easily abuse the so-called elite Lucky Clover, but he was tied by an Orphi with the Fei's belt. It is hard to imagine that just the human state plus Fei's can be so strong. How terrifying his body should be. He led Lan Guanghong into a relatively clean classroom, and after a conversation, the two reached a temporary cooperation. The content of the cooperation is: Hanagata will take in these Orfinos who still retain the human heart, and will also keep those sent in the future. Anyway, Meteor Academy is quite big. In exchange, Lan Guanghong will help Hanagata do some things that he is not convenient to show up to complete, and provide him with some information that is not available in the server. However, there is one thing that the two disagreed on. "Let's not talk about why you know so much. Now those two people must not leave." Huashing shook his head and said, "If they reveal the secrets here after they go out, it will be bad if Smart Brain knows it. Then let's take a step back. I won't take them away, and you can't use them for experiments. How about that?" "Okay." Huashing nodded decisively in agreement. Now that there are so many Orfinos here, he doesn't have to bother the two humans who were accidentally involved. After all, the belt was not developed for humans. If Orfino cooperates, the progress will be much faster, and the mass-produced belts being produced will not cause excessive harm to Orpheus. Then, happy cooperation, President Huashing. Lan Guanghong smiled and stretched out his hand to him. Huashing also smiled slightly, then took out a box from behind and put it in his hand. "Lan Guanghong. First of all, please give this Kaixa mechanism to my children. Of course, you can use it yourself." "Okay." After leaving Meteor Academy through the secret passage, Lan Guanghong could not hide his excitement on his face when he came to the ground. Although strictly speaking, the belts in this world are not very strong and are dispensable to him, who would complain about having too many belts as a Kamen Rider. Of course, the more the better. So, how should I use this new belt? After thinking for a while, Lan Guanghong looked at the two suitcases carried by the battle locust behind him and smiled healthily. "I'm a waste. I can't hold on after only dealing with 8. I'm sorry for the company's cultivation and the president's trust. Please punish me." Early in the morning, Miss SB was stunned when she received a call from Lan Guanghong. "Do you want to hear what you're talking about? If this is considered a waste, then most of the people in our company are worse than pigs and dogs. It's not that hard." "Well, Mr. Nagano, you have done a great job. The president is full of praise for you." "Really? It's so touching. The president is so gentle. No, I can't be so lazy anymore. I have to continue to work hard. Ugh, it hurts." A cry of pain came from the other end of the phone, followed by the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. Miss SB asked hurriedly, What happened?" "Nothing, I just got a little injured in the battle yesterday. My body is a little pineapple, I can still fight." Miss SB. Big, you don't have to do this. You should rest first before continuing. After all, if you hurt your body, your sister will feel bad." "Ugh, sister is so gentle." "Okay, then I will take a rest today." Under the persuasion of Miss SB, Lan Guanghong reluctantly agreed to slack off. However, this slack off was only nominal, in fact, he still couldn't rest. Let's go find that guy. After hanging up the phone, Lan Guanghong called to Jiehua who was sitting on the sofa. Yes, sorry. As if she had done something wrong, Jiehua lowered her head and followed Lan Guanghong. That's right, she failed to keep an eye on Keidu and let him run away again. In fact, Keidu wanted to run after waking up yesterday, and wanted to push him after being stopped by Jiehua. As a result, she remembered Lan Guanghong's teachings at that time, and turned into a big slap on the spot, and slapped Keidu into a peaceful sleep like a baby. So this morning, Keidu learned his lesson. While Kiba was called away by SB Club, he pretended to want to eat, and then ran away again when Jiehua was helping him cook. Sitting in the passenger seat of the jeep, Jiehua couldn't help but apologize again. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Lan Guanghong suddenly interrupted her. Jiehua, how about we play a game? The name of the game is... Lan Guanghong's mouth curled up slightly. Don't say, sorry. Chapter 138 With a creak, the jeep stopped at the parking lot of Yamate Music University. Jiehua got out of the car obediently, and couldn't suppress her curiosity while walking and asked, Brother Guanghong, why do you know that person is here? Oh, when I went to see the president yesterday, I asked about the information of that person. Lan Guanghong took the opportunity to tell Jiehua the information about Keidu Naoya. Well, a former musical genius? So amazing! Jiehua exclaimed after listening to Keida's life, and suddenly startled. Then he came back here. Is he going to kill the people here to vent his anger? Don't worry. Lan Guanghong looked up at the tall building, and heard a wonderful chapter interwoven with various musical instruments. He is not a monster who has abandoned his human heart. He is just a human being bound by the curse of his dream. Does Haitang want to kill people to vent his anger? The answer is yes. Since the car accident, these so-called classmates soon showed their ugly faces. Their sarcastic words were in sharp contrast to their former flattery. Their arrogant and respectful appearance made Haitang sick. In countless days and nights, he had thought about taking revenge on these guys, and now he has the ability to do so, so he deliberately provoked these people in class to provoke their anger and to provoke his hatred. Although the conflict was stopped in time by the sudden appearance of the instructor, Haitang knew that the matter was not over yet. After class, these people surrounded him again as expected, but when he really led them to a quiet place, Haitang suddenly realized that he could not do it. After all, he is essentially a human being. Damn guy! Haitang twisted his face and forced himself to expel these impurities from his mind. Yes, I am Afiino, a being superior to humans. I want revenge. Look at me, I'll kill you all. Stop it. A loud shout startled everyone present, including Haitang who was about to show off his power. He turned his head and saw that it was the guy who knocked him out with a palm yesterday, and his neck immediately felt a phantom pain. Lan Guanghong quickly stepped forward, stretched out his hand to pull Haitang who wanted to slip away behind him, and shouted angrily, What do you want to do to my lovely junior? Haitang. No, when did I become your junior? And judging by age, I am obviously much older than you, okay? However, these students didn't care about that. When they saw someone helping Haitang, they shouted, Who are you? Mind your own business. TSK, those who hang out with a loser like Haitang must also be losers. Ha ha ha, you're right, they're all losers. Faced with this low-end ridicule, Lan Guanghong curled his lips in disdain. Trash. The student standing opposite him was immediately furious. Who are you talking about? Hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not targeting you. He stretched out his hand and pointed at everyone. I mean everyone here, you're all trash. Students? How could these people stand such an insult? They immediately rolled up their sleeves and prepared to fight. Lan Guanghong smiled slightly, and suddenly raised his hand and punched the concrete pillar next to him. Bang! A clear fist mark appeared on the pillar. Students. Well, we are all studying music, and what we are about is to cultivate our sentiments. Fighting is not right. Not bad, not bad. This is disgraceful. If you have the guts, let's compete in music. All right. Lan Guanghong shook his hands and grinned, I also know a little about music. Under the enthusiastic invitation of this group of students, Lan Guanghong accepted the challenge and had a passionate music competition with them. Half an hour later, in the huge instrument room, this group of students looked doubtful about life, and even Kaitang and Jiehua who were watching were stunned. 5 games and 5 wins, using different instruments, and it was a series of battles. At this moment, they all had a question in their hearts, is this man a monster? Ding! After pressing the last note, Lan Guanghong put down the instrument and asked, are you convinced? That the student who was playing against him stammered a few times and struggled to say, I don't agree, your playing is just like the music score, this kind of music has no soul at all. Chapter 95. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soul. Okay, then let you see my soul. That the instrument he had just put down was lifted up again. Not only that, he took out several instruments in succession and placed them beside him. People around. What is he going to do? Could it be, after a while, an exciting prelude came from the musical instrument room? Can you feel in this distant and boundless universe? Then let's talk about this tiny earth. The song Just Yes silenced everyone present. Good guy, one person is a band, who can stand up to this. Superasai. Accompanied by the sound of admiration, the door of the musical instrument room was suddenly opened. Who played the music just now? Seeing the person coming, everyone stood up and bowed. Teacher. The person they called teacher glanced around. He was slightly startled when he saw Lan Guanghong surrounded by musical instruments, and asked doubtfully, who are you? Are you also a student of our Yamate University? No, he's just a caring senior who comes to guide the lost juniors. Lan Guanghong smiled and stretched out her hand to the music professor. Oh, no. The professor shook hands with him without a smile, if not, you should be punished. Who made you so talented? Underground parking garage, the teacher who was respected by the students and a well-known good professor at Yamate University was sneaking under a jeep, suddenly. Ah, teacher, what are you doing? The professor was startled and suddenly got out from under the car. Looking at the sudden appearance of Lan Guanghong, Yuehua and Hai Tang, he forced a smile and said, it's nothing. I think there is something wrong with the car, so I will fix it on the way. Oh, that's right. Lan Guanghong suddenly realized, as expected of Professor Yatsuo who developed the MAG's power system, he can even repair a jeep. The professor was stunned for a moment, and suddenly realized that he was making fun of himself, and his face suddenly darkened. So it's you, and you want to destroy other people's talents? Teacher. Hai Tang, who saw this scene with his own eyes, still didn't understand that the culprit who caused his dream to be shattered back then was the mentor he had always respected. Humph, now that you have discovered it, I won't act in this play. The professor dropped the screwdriver in his hand to the ground, with gray streaks on his face. This time, I can only trouble you to die, Mr. Hai Tang, and you two stupid guys. After the words fell, the professor turned into an owl named Aoife Enoch with a face that looked like a gas mask. Oh, stupid guy, who are you talking about? Lan Guanghong smiled playfully. On both sides, gray lines appeared on Yuka and Kiba's faces at the same time. Professor. Of course, Blu-ray Red didn't turn into Enoch, but took out a mobile phone from his pocket, standing by. A deeper tone sounded from Keixa's phone than that from Fuiza's phone. Professor. Chapter 139. Don't ignore your companions, Henshin. Insert the mobile phone into the belt and pull it down. As the complete prompt sounds, yellow photon blood rises from the belt, and finally the light flashes and turns into armor covering the whole body. Kamen Rider, Keixa appears. Well, it's definitely more comfortable than Fei's. After adjusting his collar, he suddenly pulled out the bladed gun on his right side and fired several rounds of energy light bullets at the owl Aoife Enoch, who was in a daze because the 3 weaklings he thought were suddenly transformed into powerful enemies with life-threatening consequences, was caught off guard by the flash bombs, and immediately covered his face and fell to the ground howling miserably. Well, it's more powerful than a cell phone. Nodding with satisfaction, he removed the mobile phone chip and inserted it into the blade gun. The photon blood stretched out from the bottom and formed a long sword. Don't be stunned, let's go. The two people who were also stunned by Lan Guanghong's unexpected transformation suddenly woke up as if from a dream, and followed him towards the owl Ifa. You sanctimonious hypocrite. Haitang took action with hatred and kicked the opponent's chest hard. You scumbag of a bad guy's dream. Lan Guanghong flew up and kicked away Ao Fei's hand that was trying to block Yuhua. Yuhua couldn't think of words, so she simply stepped on the other person's face and crushed her twice. Seeing this, Lan Guanghong kicked and said dissatisfiedly, Yuhua, why do you want to reward him? Yuhua. Use this. When she was still a little confused, a bladed gun with its blade opened was suddenly thrust into her hand. Yuhua, stamp. All. In the atmosphere of enemy, grass, enemy, fight. The owl Ifa Enoch, who was originally quite capable, just received the lunchbox in frustration. He didn't even have time to show off his proud smoke evil ghost killing method. Who? After the beating, Haitang collapsed softly on the ground, exhaling heavily, with a lot of sweat flowing out of his face. This is because of the discomfort after the first kill. In fact, that day in the underground garage, he didn't kill the wife murderer at all, he just choked him unconscious, but this time it was different. The other person is not a human being, but in Haitang's perception, the other person still retained some image of a teacher who taught him kindly in the past. This strong contrast made it difficult for Haitang to accept it for a while. I killed someone, Haitang muttered as if he was stupid. Lan Guanghong knocked on his head with his mobile phone speechlessly. Wake up, we killed someone like us, Afiino. Haitang. What's more, in the past few decades of teaching, he has destroyed countless geniuses with extraordinary talents like you. Whether it's Afiino or not, this bastard is not a human being. Patting him on the shoulder, Lan Guanghong encouraged, if you don't take action today, if you kick, there will definitely be more victims in the future, so Haitang, you are a hero. Haitang pointed at himself stupidly, hero, me. Yes, although you lost your dream, you protected the dreams of more people like you. Lan Guanghong smiled and gave him a thumbs up, real hero, pure. Don't joke, I'm just avenging myself. Haitang turned his head and said stubbornly, but the corners of his mouth that were raised from time to time still exposed his true thoughts. However, he soon thought of his situation and his face fell. Are you here to take me back? No, it's just that Jiehua was very worried after you ran away, so she asked me to look for you together. You are really nosy, I am not yours. No. Jiehua suddenly stood up and said, Keidu-san, you are our companion, so we can't ignore you. Keidu, the companion you are talking about is to tie people up and knock them out if they don't obey? In fact, he understood that these people did this just because they were afraid that he would become a murderer because of the sudden change and his heart would swell. But the method was indeed too rough, which made him resist. It's okay, Jiehua, don't worry about Keidu anymore, huh? Lan Guanghong suddenly saw a familiar truck passing by the garage entrance, and immediately turned around and took out another suitcase from the jeep. I'm going to do something, I'll call you later, and you don't have to wait for me if you leave first. As he said, he trotted after him. That car was no other car, it was the exclusive car of the laundry giant. The people in the car were Keitaro and Xiao, who were entrusted by a student's parents to persuade the student to go home. But the process was not very smooth. My parents don't know anything at all. I obviously wanted to learn guitar to enter this university, but they actually asked me to give up my studies and go to help my family. In this case, you can have a good talk with your parents. Keitaro advised sincerely, if you convey your feelings to them well, I believe they will be able to. It's useless. The student shook his head and denied Keitaro's words, they all think my dream is not important. Seeing this, Keitaro was a little helpless. He was kind-hearted and had helped people deal with many such things, so he understood the thoughts of both parties. First of all, whether it is parents or children, they must love each other, but love alone is not enough, and understanding is also needed. Most parents don't consider their children's feelings. They just think that their children's ideas are naive and useless, and only by obeying their ideas can they have a bright future. what they don't understand is that compared to the future arranged by others, children want to realize their own dreams more. Dreams? I understand. Keitaro smiled and nodded. I don't understand at all. Xiao suddenly interrupted impatiently, it's better to go home and help than to pursue such unrealistic dreams. Huh? Xiao, what are you talking about? That's right, Xiao, you are so bad. What's the problem? Consider his mother a little bit, Xiao suddenly realized that there was one more person talking. When he turned around, he saw Lan Guanghong's face full of disgust. Xiao. Are you a ghost? When did you come here? Just when you said, that unrealistic dream. He casually stuffed the suitcase containing Fei's belt into Xiao's hand, and Lan Guanghong shook his head and sighed. Xiao, I see you don't understand at all. If you don't understand anything and just talk nonsense, you will be hated by others. He put his arm around Xiao's shoulders and dragged him away forcibly, and waved to Keitaro who had his back to him and said, Keitaro, you continue, lend me this guy for a while. Keitaro had no mercy on his face. Oh, okay. Chapter 140 Jingyun is you. Hey, what are you doing? Coming to a secluded place, Xiao broke free from Lan Guanghong's grip under his deliberate relaxation. Looking at his alert appearance of taking 2 steps back, Lan Guanghong asked strangely, Xiao, you seem to be very hostile to me, why? Because you are always calculating something, very sinister, too suspicious. Lan Guanghong. I am the son of the sun, I have always acted uprightly, but someone actually said that I am insidious. I will remember this grudge. Showing a healthy smile to Xiao, Lan Guanghong turned and left. Xiao. Chapter 96. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So what did you bring me here to do? Scared me. Breathing a sigh of relief, Xiao looked at the lost belt and smiled like an idiot. Although he only lost 1 day, Xiao felt as if he had lost 7 whole days, and his life was very painful. Now I'm fine, the belt is finally back in my hands, and I can eat and rest with peace of mind again. Call out. Yellow light bombs exploded in front of him. Xiao was startled and quickly hid behind the wall, and saw the appearance of the intruder through the reflection of the glass on the opposite side. The same black bottom armor and belt, yellow photon blood flows to the whole body along the double channels. Another Fei's. Surprised, Xiao's hands were not slow at all. He took out the belt and put it on his waist. Henshin. After the transformation, Xiao leaned forward to get closer to the opponent, but as soon as he exposed his body, his chest was hit by a bullet. Bang. The damage was not high, it just stopped his charge, as if it was intentional. The other party unhurriedly adjusted the collar-like armor neck guard, and then raised his finger provocatively at him. Skillful. Well, that's intentional. Xiao couldn't bear this anger, so he rushed forward and shook off the gangster's punch. This time the opponent didn't shoot again, he just stood there waiting for Xiao's fist to hit him in the face. Unfortunately, at the moment when the attack was about to hit, the opponent suddenly raised his head slightly to avoid the fist, and then rebounded suddenly, followed by a swift counterattack. Not to be outdone, Xiao wanted to fight, but the opponent's well-organized series of attacks quickly stunned him. Bang. With a rising dragon punch, Fei's flew up and fell to the ground to cancel his transformation. Xiao reluctantly raised his head, trying to see clearly who the opponent who had released his transformation was. Unfortunately, he couldn't see the other person's face in the end. He only saw the other person taking out a tissue and wiping his left hand. Do it skillfully and rush to the street. Lan Guanghong's attack was very measured, and luckily he was not injured. He was just beaten to the point of being knocked out of breath, and he would wake up soon. He ran to a nearby high place, and while watching Xiao avoid being picked up by others, he dialed Miss SB's number. Hello, Mr. Nagano, what's the matter? Before the other party could finish speaking, Lan Guanghong howled miserably, Sister Secretary, I was robbed. Miss SB. Hey, what's going on? Speak slowly. Ugh, actually I was tossing and turning and couldn't sleep today, so I decided to kill a few more troublesome guys. As a result, I was riding a motorcycle and singing songs on the road, and suddenly I was robbed. The opponent was a guy who looked very similar to Fei's, but the photon blood on his body was yellow. I couldn't beat him and he was knocked unconscious. When he woke up, Feiza's belt was gone. I'm sorry for the president's trust and the company's cultivation. What? Kaixa showed up. Yes, this is the video sent by Nagano. Ms. SB turned on the computer and played the video to the President Murakami Kyoko to watch it again. There is no doubt that the one on the screen who beat Feiza to the point of being unable to fight back was Kaixa. That old fox, Murakami cursed in his heart, but calmly ordered on his face, call Nagano back first and arrange other work for him. When things have reached this level, it is no longer something that ordinary Ifa Enoch can handle. Murakami straightened his collar, a cold light flashing in his eyes. It's time for them to take action. They refer to the strongest combat power hidden in SB Club, the Lucky Clover. As the name suggests, Lucky Clover is composed of 4 elite Ifa Enoch. The current 4 members are Kageyama Siko, Lobster, Takuma Itsuro, Centipede, J, Crocodile, and Kitazaki, Western Dragon. Except for Kitazaki, who is too powerful and cannot be controlled, the other members will more or less obey the president's instructions. It didn't take long for the 3 permanent members to receive a summons from Murakami. In the bar named Clover, Siko smiled evilly after receiving the message. It seems that the new president is a little overwhelmed. In the library, a seemingly gentle man closed the book. Hopefully it won't be too boring. In a certain gym, after seeing the summons, Jay suddenly closed his cell phone and started pumping iron at a faster speed. Boom, boom, boom. The discus, which exceeded the limits of ordinary people, hit the ground continuously, making a huge noise, which was directly transmitted to Kiba's hut. Blue light red. Grandma, I finally slept on the bed, but some bastard kept making noise there. Lifting the quilt, Lan Guanghong walked out angrily. Kiba, who was preparing dinner ingredients, was shocked and quickly grabbed his hand and shouted, "Wait, you can't go out. Yongji, don't stop me, I have to teach this guy a lesson today." "I don't care who you teach a lesson to, but at least you should change your clothes." Hearing this, Lan Guanghong looked down. In pajamas, macho fan, oh no, magenta. Handsome's face turned red. He quickly found some serious clothes to change into, and walked out angrily. Following the sound, Lan Guanghong quickly found the source of the noise pollution, which was the gym on the next floor. "Wait a minute, our place is only open to members." The muscular front desk girl politely blocked the blue light and red, bowed and said, "I'm sorry, please leave." Lan Guanghong crossed her arms and frowned. "Then what if I have to go in?" "I'm sorry, Leo, someone is causing trouble." "Who?" A man in a black vest opened the curtain and walked out. Judging from the fact that his exposed arms were full of streamlined and well-proportioned muscles, he was still an expert. After the person walked out completely, Lan Guanghong moved his gaze to the person's face and was stunned on the spot. Such a familiar face. This appearance evoked blue-red memory fragments. He closed his eyes and thought for a while, then suddenly opened his eyes and shouted in surprise, "Jingyun. Is it you, Jingyun?" Leo. At this time, the front desk urged, "Leo, it's time to work." Unexpectedly, Leo glanced at her and cursed unceremoniously, "Get out." Ignoring the purple complexion at the front desk, he turned sideways to make way for the passage. "Please follow me this way." Leo's reason for bringing him in is simple. This gym is exclusively for Orpheus Enoch, and his special ability sensed that the physical strength of the person in front of him was far beyond that of ordinary people, and even he felt extremely dangerous. This could not be an ordinary human being. Therefore, Blu-ray Red is already their member, so of course you can enter. As title, I was not prepared for the sudden drop in temperature. Everyone was freezing. I will update my equipment tomorrow. The 2 missing chapters today will be added tomorrow in the 4th update. 100 words, 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 100 words. Chapter 141 The Curse of Dreams. What is the dream? Xian Xiao is hard to understand, whether it is the young man obsessed with music or the truth, because she was beaten up by a passing knight. Xiao, who was already in a bad mood, returned home and saw that Mari hadn't even cooked. Instead, she was concentrating on playing with her hair. She also said that it was her dream to be a hairdresser. Something like that. I was furious at that time. It's really unbearable. These and other people keep talking about their dreams. Is it so great to have a dream? It's amazing to have the courage to pursue your dreams. Leaning against the window, Haitang turned his head and looked at the scenery outside, his eyes shining with light that seemed like joy and relief. When he was in school just now, he met a junior who admired him, and Keidu also saw his past self in this junior, his extremely high talent, his heartfelt emotions when playing, and even the mistakes he made are exactly the same as he was in the past. I couldn't help but give this junior some pointers. After leaving school, Kaitang completely let go. He got rid of the people who would destroy his dreams and found someone who could play in his place. Already, there is nothing worth remembering, bar. You are a hero. Recalling what the man who called himself senior said to him, the corners of Kaitang's lips curled up unconsciously. A hero? It seems pretty good. Looking at Keidu, who suddenly giggled. Kiba, who was holding a spatula and wearing an apron, asked Yuka in confusion, "What did you do today? Why does Keidu seem to be a different person?" Well, there are many she couldn't explain clearly for a while, so Yuehua simply changed the topic and asked, "Speaking of which, where is Brother Guanghong?" Huh? The elements noticed, and Kiba's brows furrowed even more tightly. Brother Guanghong, that when did your relationship become so good? We obviously met first, but you don't even want to call me Yongji brother. Yuehua blinked her big innocent eyes, as if there was anything wrong with calling her that. Ahem, he thought the gym was disturbing his sleep, so he went to find them. Kiba turned to look out the window. Why is the sound getting louder and louder? In the gym. Ah. Oh yezer. Duang. Throwing the barbell on the ground, Jay, one of the four-leaf clovers, raised his hands helplessly and surrendered, saying that he couldn't stand it anymore. Seeing this, Lan Guanghong also put down the barbell, with a winner's smile on his face. Oh, awesome. Leo clapped and praised Lan Guanghong's strong physical fitness. He originally thought he had overestimated the strength of this new face, but unexpectedly he underestimated it. Even the members of the Lucky Clover could not match him in their human state. Chapter 97. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Orpheus cannot be generalized based on his human strength, Orpheus, who is very strong in human form, will definitely not be weak after transformation. It seems that he is a strong competitor. Hahaha, it's really an evenly matched opponent. I almost couldn't hold on. Lan Guanghong clapped his hands and laughed. In fact, he was quite surprised. He originally just wanted to make this gym quieter, but he didn't expect that this was the place where Jay worked out in the play, and there was also Leo who looked like Bu Jingyun, and this place turned out to be the property of SB Club. At a glance, the few people scattered around were Orpheus. What a good place. Hee. Lan Guanghong's smile gradually became healthy. At the same time, everyone present felt a chill inexplicably, as if he remembered something. Jay was suddenly startled, turned his head to look at the clock, then picked up his clothes with one hand and picked up his dog Chaco with the other hand and ran outside. Before leaving, he made a color to Leo and nodded at Lan Guanghong. Lan Guanghong. He said you're awesome, and he'll treat you to a drink in the future. Blue light red. Senior Leo. Just call me Leo. Okay Leo. Blue light red followed suit, and then asked the question in his mind, I can see that you're very capable, why don't you go to work at the company, but stay in this gym instead? Because there's no place for me there. Before Blue light red continued to ask, Leo explained, my goal is Lucky Clover, and I'm not interested in anything else. Oh I see. Blue light red nodded to show that he understood, not wanting to be inferior to others, and Lucky Clover is currently full, so he would rather stay in this small gym. What about you? Leo asked with a smile, why did you join Smart Brain? Me, of course, no. Blue light red looked at the clock and exclaimed, I'm still stewing soup on the stove. Let's talk next time, ciao. Before he finished speaking, he had already disappeared. Leo. Let's investigate later. Slowly walking downstairs, Lan Guanghong narrowed his eyes and made a decision. For the Orfino race, his strength is really strong. Judging from the aura alone, he is definitely above J. Among all the Orfinos he has met, only Murakami Kyo and Hanagata can suppress him. If such a talent has no criminal record, it would be a shame not to bring him into his own camp. Well, Kamen Rider Bujinyan, isn't it also quite exciting? He. Lan Guanghong, who laughed openly, suddenly frowned and raised his hand to accurately grab an object that fell from the sky. Not long ago, at Kiba's house, at the invitation of Yuka, Keidu played the last music, and the beautiful music made Yuka and Kiba intoxicated. Unfortunately, the old injury still forced him to stop playing in the middle, even if he became Ophion. The wound had already solidified due to the long time, and remained on him forever, just like the curse of dreams. Those who give up halfway will be cursed forever. I have found someone who can play for me. After saying this, Kaido smiled with relief, and then threw his once beloved guitar out of the window without hesitation. Wait, Kaido. Yuka couldn't stop him, and could only watch the instrument fly out. Kaido still smiled, waiting to hear the sound of the dream being shattered, but nothing happened. 3 people in the room. Clicked. The door opened. Lan Guang had a red and black face, holding a guitar in his hand, and asked coldly, "Who threw it?" Kaido shook his head subconsciously, but he suddenly found that both Kiba and Yuka were looking at him. "Kaido, I am so lucky to be able to be a companion with people like you." At nightfall, seeing Zhenli sobbing quietly on a park bench because of the failed interview for the barber job, Qian Qiao felt that he understood a little bit. Barber, originally a very ordinary profession, but with the blessing of dreams, it is given a different meaning. When pursuing a dream, people can forget about food and sleep and sink into it, and after failure, they will also cry for it. It is really a magical thing. Chapter 142. The person who protects dreams. Early in the morning, comb your hair into an adult look, put on a handsome suit, put on your ID card, and finally put on your gold-framed glasses, looking at the handsome young man in the mirror. Lan Guanghong smiled slightly. Go to work. Murakami did not blame him for the robbery of his belt. Instead, he quickly arranged a new job for him to replace the former Toda Eiichi and guide the awakened newcomers. Lan Guanghong accepted this with pleasure and caringly shared the worries of the president. "President, if the belt is gone, will the execution work in the future be directly handed over to Orfino?" Murakami, the shrewd man, immediately heard his hidden meaning. "Why? Do you have a candidate to recommend?" "Yes." Lan Guanghong said confidently, "My roommates Kiba Yuji and Nagata Yuka, they are both native Orfinos, they are very powerful, there will be no problem doing this job. Besides, they have just awakened and have not experienced any battles. They can take this opportunity to hone their skills. They will definitely be the president's right-hand man in the future." "Indeed, but Kiba." Murakami lay down on the boss chair with one leg raised, but his face was full of worry. In fact, he also saw the great potential of Kiba and Yuka. It was just that the last meeting with Kiba was very unpleasant. The other party bit him to death that he was a human, and he was finally rated as a low level by him. I think Yuka, who has never attacked humans, also has the same idea. "President, are you worried that they won't cooperate?" Lan Guanghong patted his chest and promised, "Please rest assured, when I go back today, I only need to say a few words to discipline these 2 people and make them obedient, and contribute to our feat of conquering the world." "Good." Murakami couldn't help but sit and praise, "Great. Nagano-kun, if you do it, I will promote you to vice president." "President, you are too kind, even if there is nothing, I will do it." Lan Guanghong said excitedly, "Senior Toda has given me a new life, and I, Nagano Daiko, have the responsibility to inherit his will. Now the president cares about me so much that he doesn't even blame me for losing the belt. It is a great honor to meet a boss like you in my life. I don't ask for anything else. As long as I can do something for you, I will be very satisfied." Murakami was moved by these words. How can there be such a loyal person in the world? If there are more such talents, we, Afeinuo, will have no worries about success. I have said what I want to say, and I will never change it. Murakami smiled and waved his hand, saying, just do it. If you really convince them, you will be the vice president of our smart brain. Yes, President. After a conversation, both parties were very satisfied. Murakami felt that he had discovered a talent. As long as Nagano could convince the blockhead Kiba to deal with the traitor, he would be able to convince more people to agree with his ideas in the future, and the Murakami faction would become stronger and stronger. Is it too much to give such a talent a vice president? Not at all. As for Lan Guanghong, he was even more satisfied with the result. Let him teach the newcomers, then who will be the loyal minister and who will be the traitor in the future, won't he have the final say? As for persuading Kiba and Yuka to be killers, is it difficult? Not at all. At noon, Lan Guanghong, who had nothing to do, went home and threw a freshly baked blacklist in front of Kiba and the others. Okay, the days of slacking off are over. You have to work tomorrow. He said with a cold and ruthless face, find the people above and kill them all. What? You want us to kill people? Kaido, who was listening, was dumbfounded. Good guy, yesterday he was still righteously saying that we are all human beings and should not kill each other, but today he showed his chicken feet. Compared to Kaido's fuss, Kiba and Yuka were very indifferent. They sat on the sofa and waited for the follow-up with a well-behaved look. Lan Guanghong was immediately discouraged. Hey, give some reaction, okay? I asked you to do bad things. Impossible. Kiba said with a smile, you are not the kind of person who would do such a thing. Yes. Yuka nodded in agreement. It's too fake. Brother Guanghong has no talent for being a bad guy. Lan Guanghong, for a moment, I didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Forget it, anyway. Lan Guanghong conveyed his plan to the two in detail. The content is very simple. In short, it is what Lan Guanghong did when he used the Fei's belt, knocked out the people on the list, and then waited for the car to pick them up. Where's me? Kaido pointed at himself. You. They are native species doing things, why are you, a weakling of the derivative species, joining in the fun? Kaido. Picking up the guitar that was leaning against the sofa and was almost thrown away yesterday, Lan Guanghong said, come on, let's go to Yamate University. No, I have given up music, why would I go there? Kaido said angrily with his hands folded across his chest. Lan Guanghong glanced back at him and said slowly, there is a professor position vacant at Yamate University. It just so happens that our SB club intends to provide them with a sponsorship, on the condition that this professor must be someone we choose. Kaido. Let me think about it, who among the four of us can take on this important task? Kaido immediately puffed up his chest proudly. Although his dream was shattered halfway, his ability has surpassed his former mentor in all aspects, and being a professor is just right. Oh, isn't it me? Lan Guanghong laughed and went out with his guitar. Hai Tang. Wait, hey, look at me. He trotted all the way to chase Lan Guanghong's back. Today, Junli succeeded in finding a job. It's strange that Qian Xiao has no dreams, but when he saw Junli's heartfelt smile at the moment when he realized his dream, his heart was also touched. Because of something that happened in the past, he has never dared to get too close to others, so every time he stayed in a place for a while, he would leave quietly. After wandering for a long time, Xiao has become accustomed to such a life without goals and dreams, but now, his thoughts have changed a little. It must be a very happy thing to be able to realize a dream. I want to protect this kind of happiness. I want everyone to show such a warm smile. The so-called dream sometimes makes people sad, and sometimes makes people excited. Chapter 98. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thinking of what Junli said to him yesterday, Xiao looked at the Fei's cell phone in his hand, and suddenly ducked from behind a tree to block Aoife Enoch, who was planning to attack Junli. I have no dreams. 5. But, I can protect other people's dreams, standing by. Henshin, complete. Chapter 143. The beginning of the movie King's Disaster. Toot. The sound of a valid hit also represents the end of this fencing match. Really, senior, you really don't show mercy at all. At least let me get a point. That false score is meaningless. Taking off his mask, the sunny and heroic young man shook his hair and said to his juniors with a smile, working hard to improve yourself is the right way. Yes, I understand. Well, let's take a break. We will continue in 10 minutes. During the break, the young man took out a pack of tissues from his pocket, tore it open and wiped his hands continuously. It was as if there was invisible blood on those hands. At noon, the young man who had finished his half-day course returned to his residence. Suddenly his eyes froze and he looked at the cardboard box placed on the table. There was also a letter on the box. Obviously, the door is locked. After looking around to make sure that the intruder was no longer there, the young man picked up the letter with the words personally from Chao Jiaran and opened it. Unexpectedly, the first few words shocked him all over. My son Caojia, when you read this letter, father, still alive and well. Caojia. But for some special reasons, I can't meet you, so I can only hand over important things to you in this way. This is the Kaiksa mechanism. With it you can defeat any Enoch of Ophir. In addition, there is a freeze mechanism in the hands of truth. I hope you can cooperate sincerely and fight to defend mankind. Fight, my son. The content of the letter ended abruptly here. It was not long, but it contained a lot of information. Truth. Opening the carton, Chao Jia took out the silver suitcase inside. His expression became fierce and determined. A few minutes later, Lan Guanghong, who was standing on the roof of the school building, looked at Sokka riding the sidecar slammer he just acquired, and smiled as he pressed the communication button on the phone next to his ear. Hello. Leo, are you free now? Okay then, call Jay and let's go have a drink. After hanging up the phone, a healthy smile appeared on his face. Several days have passed since the incident at Yamate University. During these days, Lan Guanghong went to work diligently during the day and called Leo and the others out for drinks and sex at night. The result was very gratifying, and now they are very good friends, although he still had no idea what Jay was talking about and relied on Leo to translate. This did not affect their friendship. Speaking of which, although Jay's skin color is correct, he is surprisingly a very honest person. As long as you don't touch his dog, just slap him in the chest twice and ask, "Are you angry?" And he basically laughed it off. Leo is not bad either. Judging from the information, he is only interested in the strong and disdains the weak. He has quite a chivalrous demeanor. In other words, no one was killed. As for the reason why he is not on the blacklist even though he has never killed anyone, Lan Guanghong thinks that it is most likely that Murakami felt that the price to pay for taking him down was too high, so he simply stayed idle in the gym belonging to the SB club, out of sight and out of mind. The drinking place was an ordinary nightclub instead of the Clover Bar. It was more like a pub than a bar. It was suitable for drinking, not a place where hot-blooded men like them should stay. There is also a deeper reason. They are afraid that they might encounter that lunatic Kitazaki and cause unnecessary conflicts. His physique, which has been transformed into sand whenever it touches it, is quite terrifying to Ao Fei Enoch. Blu-ray Red is not afraid of Kitaki, but he is simply not interested in that place. Lucky Clover, it is said that only elite members of Fei Enoch can join, but from Blu-ray Red's point of view, except for Kitazaki's Dragon Offii, none of them are very powerful, although Takuma, one of the four-leaf clovers in the early stage, seemed to be very powerful. If he could challenge Kiba and the three of them, he was bullying Kiba and the others before they had grown up. This would have to be replaced by Pony Boy in the later stage. A single hoof can kick him half to death. The reason why he can still have half a life left is because they have the magical ability to pick up lives and can always slip away. With stuff like this, what's the purpose of Blu-ray Home getting to know them? Do you want to burn Tazaki? It's not necessary at all. Tons. Ha, as expected it is more comfortable to drink here. Waiter, please give me 15 more drinks. Leo, who was drunk, slapped the table. Double it. Jay touched Leo with his elbow, and then stroked the dog in his arms 3 times. Lan Guanghong was the first to understand what he meant, and slapped the table and shouted, "This way, super double." Waiter, after 3 rounds of drinking, the atmosphere between the 3 people and the dog gradually became more and more lively. Hiccup, Leo, I'm going to be the vice president soon, and maybe I can be the president after a while. Then you have to help your brothers. Don't worry, if that day comes, brother, I will definitely go and support you. He, that's good, hiccup, that Mr. J. Woof. Chaco shouted on behalf of his master. I remember the president assigned you a task to take back 2 belts, right? Woof, yes. Isn't this a coincidence? I saw someone holding Keixa's belt today. J. What? That he didn't let the dog respond, and asked in an extremely awkward accent, what? Well, I can't tell you right now. I'll tell you tomorrow after I compare the person's information. Okay. Jay fell into silence again and patted the dog gently. Woof, thank you. You're welcome, we're all friends. At this time, Leo, who originally looked drunk, suddenly became interested and interrupted. Is that Kaixa very strong? Very strong, much stronger than the average Orfino. Blue Light Red nodded, gritted his teeth and said, when I used Fei's, I was beaten by that guy and couldn't raise my head. I've always remembered this grudge. Well, that's it. Leo's little eyes narrowed into a slit, almost invisible. He was thinking, Blue Light Red was already strong enough, and even with Fei's equipped, he was beaten and had his belt taken away, so this Kaixa must be a very powerful guy. The fighting spirit was ignited. Good brother, I will help you avenge this. Leo picked up a glass of draft beer and drank it generously. Thank you, good brother. Jay also raised his glass, and the 3 of them had another round of fighting. After going out, the night wind blew, and the redness on Blue Light Red's face quickly faded. TSK, Jay is okay, but Leo's level, isn't it too exciting for Kaixa? Unlike Orfino, who has normal biological or plant characteristics, Leo is a fantasy beast, that is, the same type as Kitazaki. This Orfino is not definitely stronger than the normal Orfino, but it is an upper-middle existence of Orfino. Kitazaki is a Western dragon, and Leo is an Eastern auspicious beast Chilan. Chapter 144 The Possibility of Becoming a King. The next day, in the SB Club meeting room, the President Murakami Kyo announced publicly that their company would add a new vice president, because the secretary Miss SB had communicated with these people in advance, and the new vice president would not take away their original business and rights. Everyone present unanimously approved and applauded to welcome the young new vice president. Thank you for the president's trust, and thank you for your recognition. I, Nagano Daiko, will never let you down in the future. The handsome young man leaned forward slightly to hide the healthy smile on his face that he couldn't suppress. As a vice president, his work content has not changed much. He still guides newcomers and updates the hunting list for Kiba and others. This promotion, more importantly, means that he has completely gained Murakami's trust and truly become a member of the SB Club's behind-the-scenes group, no longer the kind of pawn that can be replaced at any time, so, some internal information can be made known to him. What? 3 belts. As if he had just learned this information, Lan Guanghong showed a look of surprise. Yes, in addition to Fei's and Kaixa, there is also a delta belt. Murakami lay on the sofa chair, looking very relaxed and continued, unfortunately, because of the betrayal of the former President Hanagata, the 2 belts fell into the hands of humans, and delta is probably the same. Oh, is that so? Lan Guanghong frowned and lowered his head, as if he was lost in thought. Murakami interrupted his thoughts with some amusement. Well, but these things have nothing to do with you for the time being, just know it. I have handed over the matter of snatching the belt to others. In his opinion, although Lan Guanghong's brain is good, his strength is a shortcoming. He can't even transform and can't even do things like transforming companions. It's better for him not to get involved in things like snatching belts for such a weak chicken. I know this, Mr. J, one of the lucky 4-leaf clovers. Murakami frowned and asked with interest, how did you know? I happened to meet him when I was working out, and I became friends with him. Lan Guanghong said, with a look of yearning on his face, hey, Senior J is really strong, unlike a rubbish like me who can't even learn to transform. I'm so ashamed. Don't be ashamed, we are all companions, just in different places where we are suitable for performance. Murakami comforted him casually without thinking too much. after all, the gym that Jay often goes to is next to Lan Guanghong's residential building, and with his communication skills, it's not surprising that he can talk to Jay. Okay, go to your new office first, smart lady will show you some new things. Yes, President. After the blue light faded, Murakami took out the blacklist of these days, looked at the gray avatars on it and nodded with satisfaction. Wait. The so-called new things are actually the secrets of the Orfino race. Because of the extraordinary and drastic evolution, their lifespan is much shorter than that of normal people, and the lifespan will be further shortened if they transform and fight. If they go one step further after the transformation and become flying, running, or passionate states with all-round enhancement, their lifespan will be further consumed, and it will be a real Kryptonian life battle, the only way to solve this problem is to welcome the arrival of the king. Legend has it that the king will be born from a child who has survived a near-death experience. He has a locust-like appearance and has the power to give Orfino immortality. However, King Orfino is very fragile when he is born, so SB has specially made 3 special belts to protect the birth of the king. These blue lights have been seen in the play, and he even knows that the child is Suzuki Teruo. However, Tokyo is so big that there are countless children with this name. In addition, he cannot compare their appearance due to the age limit, so he can only put this matter aside for the time being. Compared with these intelligences that he has already known, he is actually more interested in these internal information that is not connected to the external network. Chapter 99. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After reading the information carefully, Lan Guanghong leaned back on the chair and breathed a sigh of relief. No abnormalities were found. In other words, there are no intruders in this world except him, and those subtle details that are inconsistent with those in the play are indeed natural changes in this world. Hey, isn't it okay to have fun? Completely relieved, Lan Guanghong lay relaxed on the armchair, his thoughts gradually diverging. Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind, and a bold idea burst out. Wait a minute, the child who narrowly escaped death, the locust species, can make Ao Fei immortal. In order to make things easier, he made up a false identity under the name Nagano Daegu. He was the only one left after his family suffered a disaster when he was young, and he narrowly escaped death. Locust species, there is no more pure locust species than Showa Rogue, and that's right. As for making Ao Fei immortal, Lan Guanghong felt that it would be no problem to use Bio Night to study it and make Ao Fei's life reach the same level as that of humans. So here comes the question. Why does the king of Ophir Enoch have to be Ophir Enoch? Hey, this is interesting. Adjusting his gold-rimmed glasses, he slowly showed a healthy smile. The more Blue-Ray-Hong thinks about it, the more feasible it becomes, but right now this is just a preliminary idea, and it won't take a while to figure out the specific implementation method. Compared to this, there are more important things to do now. Well, it's almost time to touch. Well, it's time to go out and talk to some new people about some heart-wrenching things. That evening, after a hard day's work, Lan Guanghong came home. Steaming hot pot and various ingredients were already placed on the table. Just smelling it made him feel like his index finger was moving. Wow, it smells so good. Who made it? Kiba, Yuka. We did it together. Kiba opened a can of beer and handed it over, smiling and saying, "Congratulations on your promotion." There's nothing to congratulate, it's just a joke. Lan Guanghong took a sip of beer and brought the topic to today's protagonist. The one who really deserves congratulations is our Professor Haitang. Come and give you a toast. Well, thank you. Haitang raised his glass and took a sip, which was completely different from the Yangshan hero-like eating appearance of the previous days. The same goes for his attire. In the past, his appearance was as messy as his personality, but today he has put on a straight formal suit, and his hair has been specially styled. At first glance, he does look like an artist. Well, after all, he is a music professor, so he still has to take care of his own image. Oh, right. Lan Guanghong suddenly thought of something and asked Haitang, "I heard that stage names are popular no matter what you do here, is it true?" "That's true." Haitang scratched his head and said, "But I don't think it's necessary. There's no chance to perform on stage anyway." "No, you can still compose music even if you can't go on stage." Lan Guanghong became interested. After thinking for a moment, a name jumped out of his mind. Hey Keidu, what do you think of the name, Fugamiya Hayato? Chapter 145 The Movie King and the Laundry Giant. Amidst the laughter, Haitong's stage name was finalized. Kiba had the habit of taking a walk after meals, and he was preparing to go out as usual today. Standing at the door, he hesitated for a moment, then suddenly turned around and asked, Guanghong, can we go out for a walk together? Oh, yes. Blu-ray Red happily agreed and went out with Kiba. Under the starry sky, the sea breeze blew the waves, hitting the rocks with a splashing sound. On the beach, two men walked, leaving two pairs of footprints on the beach. If you have any questions, just ask. We are companions, right? Lan Guanghong knocked away Kiba's hesitation with a straight ball. He took a deep breath and asked, then I will ask directly, Guanghong, what is your purpose? This question has been bothering him for a few days. Why do you want to work in the SB agency? Why do you pretend to execute those innocent Ifa Enoch? And what is going on with that car? When he heard the words that a car was coming to pick him up, Kiba thought that someone would drive to pick him up, but he never expected that it was really a car that came. God knows what his face looked like when he first saw that the battle locust could move independently and seemed to have intelligence. These questions were finally asked today. Well, of course I'm not doubting you, I just want to know the answer. As if he was afraid of being misunderstood, Kiba added another sentence later. Seeing Kiba's nervous explanation, Lan Guanghong couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha, Yuji, you are such a gentle person. Before Kiba could blush, he suddenly stopped, looked up at the night sky and smiled. Okay, if you want to know, I'll tell you. I want to create a world where Orpheus and humans can coexist peacefully. What's the meaning? Is it to overthrow the SB Club and eliminate those who want to provoke a war between humans and Afi? Kiba always felt that things were not that simple. Take a look at this. Lan Guanghong took out the information recording King Ofei Enoch from his arms and placed it in Kiba's hand. Kiba looked around in confusion, and after a moment, his eyes suddenly widened. The King of Enoch of Orpheus? Yes, Ofei Enoch's life is very short, but the king can change this situation and make Ofei Enoch become an immortal existence. He continued, stroking back his hair that was messed up by the sea breeze. It is foreseeable that if the king is born, the delicate balance between humans and Enoch will be broken. At that time, war will be inevitable. The reason is simple. Most human beings will not recognize Orpheus as their kind, and will be afraid of their power and then harm them. The main war faction headed by Murakami knew this very well, so they chose to lie dormant and increase their companions, waiting only for King Ofei to be born, and then launch a war that could reverse the situation. How so? Kiba's hands dropped weakly, his eyes were very sad. Obviously, we are all human beings. Yes, we are all human. Lan Guanghong pressed his shoulders and encouraged, that's why I let you and Yuhua take on such a job. Firstly, to protect those people, and secondly, at critical moments, they will become the force to support us. I want to destroy the King of Enoch, and also allow Enoch to live a normal life. This is my purpose. That's it. Kiba raised his head, his eyes full of determination. Then, I will help you. Haha, haven't you always been helping me? Well, that's true. The doubts were cleared, and Kiba's usual gentle smile returned to his face. It's getting late, do you want to go back and rest? Well, there's no rush. Lan Guanghong rubbed his chin with a playful expression on his face, calculating the time. It should start over there. Rewind back to this morning, in Kikuchi Laundry, a hot man appeared with a large box of clothes. Finally we can see the truth. Can she still recognize me after all this time? Sokka barely suppressed the excitement in her heart and rang the bell at the front desk. Ding dong. However, the person who answered was not who he imagined. Hi, here we come. Hearing this casual man's voice, Sokka's face instantly squeezed into a ball. Well, actually living under the same roof with Truth. The moment the curtain was lifted, his face instantly switched back to that of a sunny and handsome boy. Hello, I need to do some laundry. Okay, register. Gan Xiao casually took out the registration book and pushed it in front of Cao Jia. Cao Jia. Why is this person so stubborn? I'm a customer now, okay? He picked up a pen and started writing on the registration book. Suddenly, a plan came to his mind. Originally, he planned to leave his name on the registration for Ji to notice, and then pretend to meet her by coincidence, but this flirty clerk provided him with another method. Slowly writing in the registration book, Chao Jia suddenly said, "Your tone is very unfriendly, you'd better correct it, otherwise you will suffer a loss." Xiao replied angrily, "There's no need for you to be meddlesome, I'm born to be so vicious." Huh? Is this how you talk to customers? No wonder the laundry seems to have little business. Huh? What are you talking about? Do you want to find trouble? That the quarrel quickly alerted the two people in the house, and knowing that Xian Xiao had a bad temper, they quickly came out to break up the fight. Ah, this customer is very sorry. My store clerk is so shameless. Keitaro, who hurried out, grabbed Xian Xiao's sleeve and said anxiously, "Hey Xiao, apologize quickly." Xiao pulled her sleeves unconvinced. Are you kidding? It's obviously him who is looking for trouble, why do you want me to apologize? Because of Xiao, we have missed many orders, and we almost have no money to eat. Junli ran out angrily, stretched out his hand and twisted Xiao's waist. Apologize, you idiot. It hurts. Xiao's face was distorted after being pinched. Finally, he succumbed to the attack of the two men and bowed his head obediently to apologize. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. With a refreshing smile still on his face, Sokka deliberately pushed the box full of clothes and the registration form in front of the truth. There was no doubt about the truth, so he picked up the list. Let's see, Sokka, eh? Ji looked at Sokka with wide eyes, pointed at himself and asked, Are you Sokka-kun? Do you still remember me? Of course, truth. Chao Jia's smile became brighter. I recognized you when you came out just now. Well, but Sokka, you've changed so much, I didn't even recognize you. Coming out of the counter, Mari looked at Sokka carefully, and finally smiled and said, You can't see the shadow of the crybaby at all. Caojia, he has grown into a man. The truth hasn't changed much, it's still the same as before. Sokka stared at the truth for a moment, as if he wanted to lock her into his eyes. Chapter 146 Battle on the beach. Under the starry sky, the sea breeze blew the waves, hitting the rocks with a splashing sound. On the beach, a man and a woman walked, leaving two pairs of footprints on the beach. It is the truth that has completed the work and the Caojia that has completed the homework. Junli stretched out his hand and stroked his hair that was blown by the sea breeze, and asked doubtfully. Caojia, you have something to say to me, what is it? Well, Mari, you also received the belt from your father, right? Eh? Why do you know? Because I received it too. Sokka smiled happily, my father told me that you have a belt. He must hope that that while he was speaking, his expression suddenly changed, and he frowned as he looked at the burly man who was walking towards him. Who? The burly man did not answer, but took off his sunglasses and roared, with gray and white lines appearing on his face. Chapter 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Roar. Accompanied by a roar, he quickly transformed into an Orfino with crocodile features. It was J, one of the lucky four-leaf clover. Orfino. Just in time. Sokka immediately used Kaiksa to call the car and took out the belt from it, standing by. Mari, retreat behind me. He stretched out his hand to protect Mari behind him, and said confidently, and, watch my battle. Henshin, complete. As the yellow light flashed, Sokka transformed into Kaiksa in front of Mari. Eh? Mari stared at the knight in front of her, and whispered, another Fuiz. She and Xiao didn't know Kaiksa's name, and thought it was Fuiz with a different appearance. However, Sokka soon proved with his actions that Kaiksa's performance was far superior to Fuiz. He took out the chip from his phone and inserted it into the blade gun. A yellow photon sword extended from the bottom. Kusaga held the hilt of the sword with his backhand and leaped towards the crocodile Orpheus, slashing at his head with a sword as he fell. Orpheus raised his hand and used his shield claws to slap away the opponent's lightsaber. but he didn't expect Kusaga's sword skills to be so good that he swiftly struck out with a sword after landing. This attack was still blocked, but the huge power contained in this sword made Orpheus lose his balance and staggered back. Kusaga immediately took advantage of the victory and slashed the opponent with 3 consecutive swords to knock him away. While the opponent fell to the ground and rolled, Kusaga opened his phone and pressed the fill button. Exceed charge. He raised his hand and shot a capture net to fix Orpheus. Kusaga's sword turned into a golden light and hit the crocodile Orpheus at this moment. Another Orpheus, whose whole body was almost pure white, fell from the sky and blocked the trapped crocodile Orpheus, crossing his hands to block Kusaga, who was launching a special move, Clang. Zila La. The collision between the sharp attack and the strong body produced sparks. After a period of stalemate, the newly appeared Orpheus roared and spread his arms, and Soga's ultimate move was broken. The light that flew back turned back to Kaixa. Soga rolled on the ground for a few rounds and raised his head in embarrassment. Even through the mask, one could feel his surprise. Whoosh. The white Orpheus swung his arms, bringing up a streak of sparks. This was Orpheus, whose whole body was wrapped in armor like rising flames. On both sides of his ferocious head, there were long horns with scales, which were somewhat similar to the legendary Oriental dragon. However, from the characteristics of his body, it can be seen that he is actually Kirin Orpheus. Yes, the person who came was Leo. Interesting. Leo moved his neck, raised his hand and hooked his finger at Soga. Come. The provoked Soga stood up angrily, holding a lightsaber and resolutely rushed towards the 2 Orpheus again. Behind him, Mari anxiously called Xiao. Xiao, come and help, there's Afeino. What? I'll come right away. Xiao put down the iron and rushed out the door. A few minutes later, Cat Tongue Handsome rode to the battlefield on a battle Pegasus and saw Kaixa, who had beaten him up without saying anything. Qian Xiao. Damn, it's this guy. Huh? Mari asked in surprise. What do you mean? No, nothing. Being beaten is not a glorious thing, so he didn't tell Mari and Keitaro about it, but he has always remembered this grudge. Even though he did that, he still acted like we met for the first time today. What a hypocritical guy. Thinking of this, Xiao put on the belt and entered the number without any delay. Henshin. A red light flashed, and Kamen Rider Feidian joined the battle, caught the crocodile Ophi with a bear hug and separated the battlefield. Although he was very dissatisfied with Sokka, Xiao would never deliberately harm others. On the contrary, Sokka was a little surprised by this. Feidian was not used by Zhenli, but by that clerk. Damn, what is the relationship between you and Zhenli? This distraction caused Sokka to be beaten again, and he almost opened his mouth and closed his eyes on the spot. Xiao's entry did not improve the situation, because they were not opponents of the enemies they faced. Not long after, Xiao was defeated first, but fortunately fell into the sea water next to him and saved his life, but Sokka on the other side was not so lucky. After being beaten to the point of forced disintegration, Kirin Aofei lifted him up by the neck, and a crisp click sound could be heard as long as a little force was applied. Sokka. The scream of Zhenli came to his ears, and Sokka, who was pinched to the point of lack of oxygen, barely moved his eyes, but could only see a blur. Kirin Aofei, who was originally ready to kill, seemed to have discovered something, and suddenly loosened his hand and let Sokka go. Lying softly on the ground, Chao Jia now had no strength left in his body, and could only stare at Aofei Enoch in front of him with resentment and some doubt. Humph, you saved your life. Qilin Aofei didn't want to waste time talking to him, so he called Crocodile Aofei and left the scene. Chao Jia. Zhenli's voice sounded in his ears again, but he was no longer able to respond, and he fainted with his head down. Xiao opened his eyes, and in front of him was an unfamiliar ceiling. Hey, you're awake. Looking around, his eyes suddenly opened wide. It was Mahafi Enoch who had a fight with him that day. It's you. He stood up and was about to get up, but suddenly he took a breath due to the pain all over his body. Kiba comforted him with a gentle smile. You're seriously injured, it's best not to move. At this time, Yuka came over with a sea bowl. Kiba, the medicine is ready. Oh, give it to me. Kiba took the bowl and explained to Xiao, this is a Chinese medicine prescription my friend told me. It is very good for your injury. Come, drink the medicine. Xiao looked at the spoonful of hot concoction that was dark and had a pungent smell in front of him, and his handsome face twisted into a ball. Chapter 147 The powerful enhanced version of the Emperor's Belt. Sa Ka opened his eyes and saw an unfamiliar ceiling in front of him. Thank you Guanghong, if it weren't for you, Chao Jia would definitely be. It's okay. We are all friends. How could I just watch you in danger and not care, that the sound of paper being drawn? Come, wipe your tears. Sa Ka. Who is this person? Why do so many people want to compete with me for the truth? Oh, Cao Jia, you're awake. Lan Guanghong pretended to have just discovered that Cao Jia had woken up, and said in surprise, Great, you are safe. Cao Jia asked doubtfully, Who are you? Junli, who had wiped away his tears, quickly answered and introduced, He is Blue Light Red, a member of Smart Brain. What? Sokka's eyes suddenly widened in anger. The tragedy that happened at Ryusei school made him hate the name Smart Brain, so he became wary of Blue Ray Hong as soon as he heard the truth. As soon as Junli saw Sokka's reaction, he knew that he had misunderstood, and quickly explained, No, Guanhong went there to help us undercover, and he was the one who saved us yesterday by pretending to pass orders. Oh, that's it. After hearing these words, Cao Jia's anger immediately disappeared, and he said with a guilty look, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. It doesn't matter. This is not all for you. After all, my family was also killed by them. Lan Guanghong waved his hand as if he didn't care at all, and the ward suddenly became a harmonious scene, at least that's how it looks on the surface. Okay, let's talk more about it until the next time we meet. I have to go. Where are you going? Everywhere is fine, but I can't stay here anymore. Leaning at the door of the ward, Lan Guanghong turned around and said with a smile, My behavior yesterday was tantamount to betraying SB Club. They will not let me go. If you continue to stay here, you will also be in danger. Without giving Ji a chance to continue speaking, Lan Guanghong waved goodbye. Ciao. Guanghong. Ji screamed and chased out, but Lan Guanghong's figure could no longer be seen. Seeing the truth, he sat back down again. Chao Jia's heart skipped a beat. Incredible, this guy is a master. SB Club building. Damn it, that guy actually made me suffer such humiliation. Murakami Kakiji slapped the table angrily, with veins on his face exposed. It was in vain that he trusted this new subordinate so much. Even if this man made an independent decision yesterday and let the guy with the belt go, he did not immediately blame him, but waited for him to give an explanation today. For example, the purpose of rescuing people is to infiltrate them so that they can easily obtain the whereabouts of Delta's belt. After all, the first two belts are held by the flower-shaped children, so it is not impossible for Delta to be with them as well, but I never expected that this person would just slip away. Even when he called in person, he only got 3 cold words. Are you worthy? Murakami Gorge was confused at the time. What do you mean I am worthy? Don't I deserve an explanation from you? After reacting, he became furious, but the other party had already blacklisted him. Murakami turned over his desk angrily and shouted through gritted teeth, Put a reward on me, everyone, go and find that bastard, find him. Wait a minute. Within a few minutes, Ifa Enoch and others came out in full force after receiving the news, and Murakami himself went to the Clover Bar.